The heart of China lies shattered. Beijing, once a vibrant symbol of progress, now languishes in a desolate, suffocating gloom that chokes the soul of its people. The streets, once alive with the pulse of ambition, are now ghostly voids, their silence screaming of despair. Sanlitun and Wangfujing, iconic arteries of the capital, stand unrecognizable. Shuttered shops, abandoned malls, and a pervasive sense of doom. Qimao, Tianyi, and Galaxy Soho, once beacons of modernity, are cloaked in a funereal pallor, their emptiness a stark testament to a city on its knees. The air is thick with anguish as countless Beijingers, stripped of livelihoods, loiter in desperation, praying for meager manual labor jobs to stave off starvation. Along the Second Ring Road, the sight of broken dreams and hollowed lives is enough to rend the heart. Beijing's netizens, their voices trembling with grief, lament a city that has never sunk so low. On Weibo, one user cried out, "Beijing has never been this dead. The city is sealed off, lifeless, a shadow of itself." The weekend, once a time of joy and bustling crowds, now reveals only desolation. Restaurants that once brimmed with long queues stand eerily vacant, their tables gathering dust under a shroud of gloom. Shopping malls, meant to be havens of commerce, echo with the footsteps of no one. A Weibo post on May 25, 2025 captured the collective heartbreak. "I never imagined Dongguan would be this bleak after a decade. I went to Xi'an for a job interview, but the vibrant streets I knew are gone. Exiting the subway, I saw no shoppers, only closed stores. Carrefour and Shabbos Street have vanished, leaving just a few snack bars and convenience stores struggling to survive." The chorus of despair grows louder. Netizens, their comments drenched in sorrow, traced the city's decline to last year's brutal, low-end population purge, which drained Beijing of its vitality. "It's not just Dongguan," one wrote, voice heavy with loss. "All of Beijing is a ghost town. I don't understand how it came to this. 10 years ago, this city was my dream. Now it's a nightmare." Li Hua, an insider who shuttles between Beijing and Hebei, spoke to reporters with a trembling voice, confirming the economic collapse. Wuxong, near Xi'an Street, used to thrum with life. Since July 2025, its shops have dwindled to nothing. Fewer than 10 foreign-owned supermarkets remain, and most have shuttered. Carrefour is gone, its last store sold off. Walmart clings to existence, but for how long? Wang Li, a Beijing resident, his eyes hollow with defeat, told reporters, "The national economy is in freefall. Even the capital is a wasteland, empty, lifeless. No one has money except civil servants. The rest of us are barely surviving." The WeChat account Ping Dashi published a gut-wrenching article, "Beijing has never been this depressed," painting a city suffocated by its own decline. Tiananmen Square, once open and welcoming, is now barricaded, its grandeur hidden behind guardrails. Schools and universities, Tsinghua, Peking, and countless others, stand as fortified islands, their gates locked, symbols of a city that has turned inward in fear. Sanlitun, once China's fashion epicenter, where celebrities and dreamers mingled, is now a husk. There are more farmers' markets in fifth-tier counties than in Sanlitun, the article mourned, its words dripping with loss. Foreigners, once a vibrant part of Beijing's tapestry, have vanished. Liangmaqiao, a former hub of expat life, is no longer a concession teeming with diversity. It's a barren shadow. The streets, especially at night, are a tableau of desolation. Gone are the street vendors, photographers, and performers who once lit up Beijing's evenings. The city's economic pillars, technology in Haidian, finance in Kaohsiung, education, culture in Chaoyang, and foreign investment, lie in ruins. Haidian's tech sector, once a global powerhouse, is a ghost of its former self. Finance, strangled by regulations, has lost its pulse. Education, the pride of the capital, is in tatters. The cultural industries, film, television, music, art, have withered, and foreign investment, once a lifeline, has dried up. Jobs that once sustained millions of ordinary Beijingers have evaporated, leaving families teetering on the edge of ruin. A suffocating smog blankets the city, mirroring the hopelessness that pervades every corner. The dawn's vitality is dead, replaced by a twilight of despair. As if economic collapse weren't enough, a terrifying epidemic rages, plunging Beijing and beyond into chaos. Shanghai and Shenzhen are drowning in a new wave of CO-19, their hospitals overwhelmed, their funeral homes unable to keep up with the dead. Symptoms? Fever, sore throat, swollen red eyes, signal a vicious mutant strain, possibly compounded by multiple pathogens. American virologist Lin Xiaoshu warned, his voice grave. This outbreak could involve avian influenza with human-to-human transmission. The danger is unprecedented. Reports of sudden deaths flood local communities, and long lines at crematoriums evoke chilling memories of past cover-ups by the CCP. In Shenzhen, the outbreak has surged for 8 to 9 weeks straight. Yan Ji-si, deputy director of Shenzhen's Health Commission, confirmed to Shenyang News on May 20, 2025, CO-19 cases are climbing relentlessly. Guangdong CDC reported 23,188 cases in April, up from 3,548 in March. A nearly 20,000 case spike. Hong Kong's monitoring indicators hit a one-year peak, with test positivity soaring from 6.21% to 13.66% in 4 weeks. Within a month, 81 severe adult cases were recorded, 31 fatal. Experts predict a peak in late May, a grim milestone in this relentless wave. In Shenzhen, a netizen named Xiao Ji posted a video, her voice quaking. "In this scorching heat, I was freezing, buried under 3 quilts. Shivering even after sweating." Another, Shofu Daxi, shared on May 20, "The new coronavirus is raging. My drum teacher tested positive and I can't even practice." In Shanghai, emergency rooms and fever clinics are overrun. A staff member at Pudong District Central Hospital admitted, "CO-19 cases have skyrocketed. We're running blood, CO-19 and influenza tests on every patient to keep up." Netizen Clay K's growth diary recounted her ordeal. "After visiting Longhua Temple on May 10, I fell ill. My sister had a high fever that night, and by the 11th I was burning up, alternating hot and cold. I've tested positive 3 times. If this continues, I fear I won't live past 60. Shanghai residents flood online platforms with tales of woe. 8 out of 10 at my factory caught it, one wrote. They're shivering in this heat, calling it CO-19. Another shared, "My 15-month-old son tested positive with a fever. My cousin's family hit 40 DEC after a trip." Whispers of death circulate, hushed by authorities. "They don't call it CO-19, a netizen revealed, voice bitter. It's pneumonia or something else. My brother-in-law's classmate died in March, but you'd only know if it's someone close." The CCP's silence fuels fear, as the true toll remains shrouded. Compounding the crisis, China's real estate sector is a ticking time bomb. Nomura Securities LST's November 15, 2024 report exposed a staggering 20 million unsold pre-sale homes, 20 times the scale of Country Garden. Completing these projects demands 3.2 trillion CNY, $4.4 billion, 0 cents. An impossible sum in this economic wasteland. Even a 20% increase in completions would leave 52% of homes sold between 2015 and 2020 undelivered. Buyers, their patience fraying, grow restless, and analysts warn of social unrest by 2026 if delays persist. This could endanger social stability, Nomura cautioned, urging Beijing to bolster support to restore faith in a crumbling industry. Last year, home buyers refused loan payments for stalled projects, prompting the CCP to inject 200 billion CNY, $27 billion, 0 cents, in interest-free loans. Yet the Financial Times reported in September 2024 that less than 1% was lent, as banks couldn't find credit-worthy developers. Low-cost loans and mortgage supplements are floated, but past attempts, like 2014's PSL, fueled bubbles in smaller cities, earning scorn. Beijing's collapse mirrors a nation on the brink. The epidemic, economic ruin, and social decay converge in a perfect storm, threatening to unravel the fabric of society. Families face starvation, hospitals buckle, and the dreams of millions lie buried under the weight of a merciless reality. The capital, once a beacon of hope, now stands as a monument to despair. its people crying out for salvation that may never come. Second-tier cities like Nanjing, where listings surged 332.5% in a single day after restrictions were lifted. In Wuxi, 7,000 homes flooded the market in just 3 days. Sellers, gripped by desperation, slashed prices by 10–15% to attract buyers who remained paralyzed by fear of further collapse. In Guangzhou, once vibrant neighborhoods have reverted to 2017 price levels, with a 4.5 million yuan unit selling for just over 3 million after relentless cuts. Homeowners, many burdened by crushing loans, face the nightmare of negative equity, losing their homes while drowning in debt. Transaction volumes have cratered, with Shanghai's deals dropping from 29,000 to 22,000 in a month. Professor Huang Zhong warns of millions of unfinished housing units, a burden that will haunt China for years. Political commentator Chen Peng ties the crisis to factory closures, vanishing exports, and soaring unemployment, declaring the real estate sector a dead weight dragging the nation into the abyss. The CCP's data blackout is a desperate act of self-preservation, but it cannot hide the truth forever. From land sales to unemployment rates, the regime has scrubbed vital statistics, forcing scholars to rely on unconventional metrics, satellite nightlight maps, cement sales, even gym closures, to gauge the economy's pulse. One economist tracks business owners fleeing with prepaid memberships, claiming it reveals more than the CCP's fabricated GDP. The 2021 Data Outbound Control Law has buried even basic company records, while the halt of youth unemployment data after a 46.5% estimate in 2023 underscores the regime's fear. Sun Uqiang, a professor at Taiwan's Nanoa University, delivers a chilling prognosis. The disappearance of data is the CCP's admission of failure. It hides the truth because the truth would shatter its legitimacy. As China's economy slides into a long-term black box, the regime's opacity only accelerates its downfall. The world watches as China hurtles toward a reckoning, one that will expose the full horror of its economic collapse. China's descent into chaos, a nation in chains, guns drawn. In the heart of Wuhan, a city scarred by history, gunfire shatters the night, a chilling anthem of defiance against the Chinese Communist Party. CCP. The cry, "With guns in hand, follow me," reverberates, not as a mere slogan, but as a primal scream of a society on the brink of implosion. China, once a beacon of ambition, now festers as a dystopian prison under the CCP's iron grip. 3 years of suffocating lockdowns have morphed into sealed borders and a digital cage, trapping a nation in fear and despair. The regime's lies can no longer mask the truth. China is unraveling, and the sparks of rebellion are igniting. On the night of May 18, 2025, Wuhan's bustling night market became a battlefield. Hong Kong's Xingtao Daily reported a horrifying scene at a barbecue stall in the Awa community Chongran Street, Chaco District. At 10 p.m., a gunman unleashed a hail of bullets on unsuspecting diners, the crack of at least 4 shots echoing through the chaos. 2 lay dead, blood pooling beneath a lifeless body slumped in a chair. Another sprawled on the ground. Witnesses fled in terror, their screams captured in videos that briefly flooded Chinese social media before the CCP's censorship machine erased them. A chilling chat record surfaced. "I was eating barbecue when a gunman at a Xinjiang stall shot 2 people dead. We ran for our lives." Overseas platforms preserved the footage. Images of a man possibly shot in the head and another covered by a blanket as bystanders wept. The Chaco District Police, in a brazen lie, labeled it an intentional injury, sparked by a restaurant dispute, claiming 1 death and 2 stable victims. But netizens, fueled by rage, point to evidence of 2 fatalities, both shot execution style, exposing the regime's desperate cover-up. Commentator Su Xiaohua on his explosive program revealed a bombshell. The shooters were military personnel, armed with a rifle and handgun, firing with precision before vanishing. In a nation where gun ownership is a privilege reserved for the state, this was no random act. Su argues it was a deliberate echo of the 1911 Chang Uprising, a symbolic middle finger to Xi Jinping's regime. The CCP, born from the barrel of a gun, lives in terror of armed civilians. The regime dreads a real-life "let the bullets fly," Su thundered, referencing the film's iconic call, "Gun in hand, follow me, storm the fortress." With the economy in tatters, unemployment soaring, and public fury boiling, every gunshot is a dagger to the CCP's heart. Su's warning is apocalyptic. If one dares shout, "Overthrow the Communist Party," 1 million will follow, and overseas netizens' words haunt. Is this the new Chang Uprising? In chaos, heroes rise. Whoever holds a gun becomes king. The carnage doesn't end there. On May 16, 2025, at 3 a.m., a steel-laden truck roared through a police checkpoint on China's G205 national highway, leaving a trail of devastation. 18 officers were killed or maimed, 3 dead instantly, 6 clinging to life. This was the deadliest attack on police in 5 years. Videos shared by ex-user Dongguan reveal apocalyptic scene: mangled police cars, officers hurled meters away, blood-soaked gears scattered among reflective cones, flung 20 meters. Rescuers battle to free trapped officers with hydraulic cutters. The youngest victim, a 24-year-old rookie, and the oldest, a 52-year-old veteran, paid the ultimate price. Whispers of motive swirl. Was it driver fatigue, or a vengeful act after a fine? Ex-user Xi'an alleged the driver, enraged by police extortion, deliberately plowed into the checkpoint, with more deaths hushed up. The CCP buried the story, scrubbing posts and banning accounts, yet netizens defied the blackout, their fury uncontainable. They silenced the news, but not our rage. In Beijing, a different rebellion brews. Public buses, once a symbol of community, are now battlegrounds of resentment. Security guards, dubbed onboard administrators, have replaced beloved ticket sellers, sparking a firestorm of outrage. A viral video. Beijing bus security sparks public outrage, exposes guards in filthy uniforms, reeking of neglect, dozing on duty. Passengers choke on their stench, their presence a blight on Beijing's civilized image. Netizens demand the return of ticket sellers, lamenting the loss of local jobs to these useless guards. Guards, in turn, expose their hellish reality: 16-hour shifts, 1 tattered uniform, and wages as low as 200 yuan, $28.00 a day. La Femme, a veteran guard, told the Epoch Times, "I quit after 10 days. Up before dawn, asleep past midnight, eating scraps in a 12-square-meter room with 8 others. Worse than a prison. The root? Corruption." Beijing state-owned bus companies funnel money to third-party contractors, leaving guards exploited and passengers enraged. Observer Luong called it total rot. Guards, clueless about routes, mocked as sated and idle, deepen the social chasm. The CCP's obsession with control is tearing society apart. China itself is a prison. 3 years of COVID lockdowns, cities sealed, doors welded shut, people starving, were just the beginning. Now borders are closing and a high-tech exit control system traps citizens. Author Chun Jing, writing for Vision Times, recounts a prophetic dream from 2019. One day everyone will be imprisoned. That nightmare is reality. Shanghai, once a global hub, is now a testing ground for a dystopian risk-scoring system. Big data, facial recognition, and social media scrutiny flag anyone seeking to leave. A single critical post, a foreign contact, or an NGO link can brand you high risk. Ms. Lin, a Shanghai professional, was denied a passport renewal for translating an environmental report a decade ago. Her voice broke. "We just want our son to study. Is that a crime?" A professor lamented. "Academic freedom is dead. This isn't protection, it's paranoia." Lawyer Jiang Li called the national security law pure power, targeting thinkers, artists, and builders, the very soul of China. The regime's fear is palpable. Isolated abroad, crumbling at home, the CCP builds a digital Berlin Wall, severing connections, silencing voices. Neighbors distrust neighbors, friends self-censor, families whisper warnings. One wrong word can unravel a life. History screams. Regimes ruled by fear collapse not by foreign armies, but by their people's awakening. The human spirit cannot be caged. You can seize my passport, a young programmer whispered, but not my desire to be free. The light of rebellion shines through the cracks, and China's reckoning is coming. China's descent into darkness, a nation abandoned and broken. China's once bustling international airports now stand as desolate mausoleums, their empty halls echoing with the death knell of a collapsing economy. Ghostly terminals devoid of life bear witness to a nation forsaken by the world. Pilots and flight attendants, unpaid for months, scavenge for survival, while major airlines crumble into bankruptcy. Foreigners have vanished, tourist hotspots are shrouded in eerie silence, and the Chinese Communist Party's CCP belligerent wolf warrior diplomacy and suffocating security measures have walled China off from humanity. A cataclysm looms, dwarfing the U.S.-China tariff war, a ticking bomb poised to obliterate what remains of the nation's economy. With 80% of export orders halted and domestic demand too frail to fill the void, giants like Apple are fleeing, threatening 3 million jobs. As the CCP plans mass asset seizures to fund its desperate economic war, President Trump declares China's economy is crashing spectacularly. Yet, in the shadows, the CCP kneels, quietly exempting tariffs on 130 U.S. products. Welcome to China Undercover, where we expose the raw, unfiltered truth of a nation betrayed. The haunting emptiness of China's airports tells a story of collapse. Shanghai Pudong, once a throbbing hub, now languishes in silence, its duty-free shops shuttered, staff standing idle like specters. Beijing Capital Airport, a former beacon of vitality, is a wasteland of vacant seats and closed counters. Even Dalian Zhouzhi International Airport at 11:20 p.m. on a weekend sees a mere trickle of passengers, its throughput a pitiful shadow of its past. Netizens lament the desolation. Kuala Lumpur's airport buzzes with life, but Kunming's is a cold, empty shell. Beijing's Terminal 3 feels like a crypt. Just 5 years ago, holiday crowds overflowed, travelers spilling onto floors for lack of seats. Now, the May Day holiday rush is a cruel mirage, with airports across China resembling abandoned relics. The CCP's visa-free policy, meant to lure Western tourists, has failed miserably, as foreigners recoil from a deteriorating business climate and a nation that feels like a prison. The aviation industry is bleeding out. Happiness Aviation, a major operator, abruptly canceled all flights, its pilots delivering food and flight attendants peddling wares at street stalls to survive. A pilot's voice cracks with anguish. 3 years without pay, no social security. I can't afford my children's school fees or my parents' medicine. How many families like mine have shattered? Xiao Chan, a former flight attendant, now lives off dwindling savings, one of tens of thousands who fled the industry. Be promised recovery post-pandemic, but it's a lie, she says. Flights are grounded, losses mount, and every industry, clothing, construction, even fruit stalls, is dying. China's state-owned airlines, Air China, China Southern, and China Eastern, reported staggering losses in 2024. $31,600,000, 0 cents, $243 million, 0 cents, and $577 million, 0 cents, respectively, marking 5 years of financial hemorrhage. International capacity lags 20% below 2019 levels. Airfares plummet with 80% discounts, and high-speed rail undercuts what remains of the industry. The global aviation sector recovered in 2023, but China's carriers are drowning. Foreigners have abandoned China, detoured by an internet firewall blocking apps, the absence of Airbnb, and draconian rules requiring police registration within 24 hours of arrival. Beijing's streets bristle with ID checks, hotels segregate foreigners, and violent attacks on visitors last year have fueled fear. U.S. economist David Huang told the Epoch Times, travelers from the U.S., Europe, Japan, and South Korea dread China's censorship, opaque laws, and safety risks. International airlines, Elatis, Qantas, LOT, Deutsche Polis, and others, have axed routes with U.S.-China flights at 30% of 2019 levels. A netizen's cry cuts deep. The CCP rejects the world, and the world rejects us. No English signs, no internet, no tourists. Shanghai's streets, once alive with foreigners, are now a graveyard. The tariff war is a death blow. With 145% U.S. tariffs and the elimination of the $800 0-cent de minimis exemption, 80% of export orders have evaporated. A cardboard business owner weeps. Clients canceled everything. Goods sit undelivered. Profits gone. Dongguan, the world's factory, is a ghost town. Its 14,000 export-reliant firms crippled. Factories hoard unsold inventory, unable to pay suppliers, teetering on bankruptcy. A Gen Park survey reveals despair. 20% of exporters expect sales to drop, 9.4% predict total collapse. Domestic demand, gutted by economic decline, cannot save them. Xi'an Ono, a garment factory owner, told Reuters, exports earn 20 yuan per item, domestic sales barely 2 yuan. As Southeast Asia tightens rules to block transshipment, Vietnam's exports to the U.S. soared from $49 billion 0 cents in 2018 to $106 billion 0 cents in 2024. Siphoning China's market. The loss is permanent. Apple's shift to India, producing 50 million iPhones annually, threatens 3 million Chinese jobs. Professor Sun warns, this exodus will crush local finances and spark social unrest. With unemployment potentially hitting 60 million and 12 million graduates facing a barren job market, China teeters on the edge of chaos. The CCPs' response? A predatory purge masked as anti-corruption. The Central Commission for Discipline Inspection disciplined 185,000 officials in Q1 2025, a 50% surge, seizing assets to fund the tariff war. Gwen Hongbing, an Australia-based scholar, told the Epoch Times, "This isn't about justice, it's a desperate grab for cash to prop up a failing regime." Former Deputy Governor Fan Ye's $55 million 0 cents in bribes led to a death sentence and total asset confiscation. Retired officials, once untouchable, now face probes with no time limits. Seized funds are funneled to military and police budgets, a poisoned chalice that fuels panic among Beijing's elite. It's drinking poison to quench thirst, Gwen says, and it's eroding the regime from within. Trump holds the whip hand. On April 30, 2025, he declared China's economy crashing spectacularly, citing factory declines. The CCP's propaganda video, China Won't Kneel, a 2-minute rant against U.S. tariffs, was mocked globally. Netizens on X sneered, "They'd rather let us eat grass than admit defeat." Yet Beijing quietly capitulated, slashing tariffs on 130 U.S. products, vaccines, chemicals, jet engines, from 125% to zero. A secret visit by Finance Minister Lan Wen to the U.S. Treasury on April 24 suggests negotiations despite denials. The CCP's bravado is a facade. Its economy is on its knees. As China isolates itself, the world moves on, leaving a nation trapped in its own lies. Share your thoughts below and join China Undercover for more raw truths. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned.